Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am so thankful that you are here. Today we are going to learn about sculpting and contouring the face in a very natural, wearable, everyday way. I am Leticia Bishop, a professional makeup artist of over 8 years now. I currently work in Hong Kong with celebrities and expats and high net worth people. I love it. And if you do hear some banging, it's just living in a city. They're literally banging into the earth a few blocks away, and on my terrace out here, I can literally see my plants shaking. That's how, you can feel it in the earth. And I wonder, they're building a new building and it feels like they're destroying all the other buildings. But such is life, and that is Hong Kong. But I think with my audio setup here that you may not be able to hear it. So fingers crossed. Adding dimension and sculpting the face, you may ask, why is this important? It's not. You don't have to do it, of course. That's with anything with makeup. It's entirely up to you. But when you are doing a full face of makeup and you are doing a foundation, I haven't started yet, right? I've done my brows, my mascara, my lips, and my base and my concealer. But that is all. I haven't added any sculpting to my face just yet. Now, my face doesn't necessarily need it all that much because I do already have a very defined face, but everyone's face is a little bit different. Either way, when we add like a base product, like a foundation or something, it kind of flattens our face and it kind of makes it look a little bit more mask-like, and we want to try to make it not look mask-like and believable, nice skin. Adding shape really helps with that. And essentially where you add darker colors is where you're going to push things back. And then where you add lighter colors is what you can bring forward and highlight. So if you just remember that little theory there, dark pushes things back and light pushes things forward. So you have to look at your face in a very critical way like that. Everyone is kind of on the same guidelines, the same similar areas. So that's what I'll be teaching today. But again, I'm doing it on my face because that is what I have available to me. But your face may be a little bit different and require a little bit different areas of contouring. I'll try to highlight those areas as we go along. I want to clear up and explain to you what the difference between contour and bronzer is. Both are used as the darker area to add depth and definition to your face, but they are slightly different. Now, one of the really popular contour products is the Fenty Beauty sticks in the shade Amber, because this is a really nice cool toned product. Let me swipe them on my hands for you. And then a bronzer is a warmer tone product, which is designed to add like a sun-kissed look to the face, and they are more shades like this. This one here is a nice bronzer that I've been enjoying, and this one in the NATASHA DENONA mini palette, this one here. And they have a little bit more warmth to them and red to them, but let me show you on my hands. Contour is more, it's to act like a shadow, okay? And then let's add some bronzer next to it so you can see the difference. And you can get these both in powder or cream formulas, either way. Can you see the difference there? How this one is the contour and it is meant to help create the appearance of a shadow on your face, depth. And then that is a traditional type of bronzer, which is to warm up the face, but it still at the same time adds a lot of sculpting to the face. Now, for every day, my preference is just bronzer because I do it with a fluffy round brush like this, and I'm not too directional with it because my face is already quite gaunt and slim. I don't need a lot of work in the contouring department, so I just very quickly dust around the edges and just kind of warm up my very pale face. For the sake of demonstrating contour, I'm going to show you with contour and with bronzer today. Now, if you are going to use contour and bronzer, you definitely need less bronzer because you have added 2 products. If you are going to just use bronzer, then you could probably do a little bit more bronzer than what we're going to do today. You want to look at your face and see where your cheekbones are. I generally describe it as it's above the ear on that bit of tuft of hair here, and you're coming down towards the nose, between the nose and the lips. But we will never be coming in quite that far, because then you will look way too chiseled in a more masculine way. Further in than where your eyeball is, you never want to go in further than that. So I'm going to add a swipe like this, and then the other area where you can contour, I have quite a large forehead, so you just have to look at your face and determine if you have a large forehead or not. If your hairline is a lot lower, you don't need to worry about contouring there. A little bit of bronzer can be nice, but you probably don't need any contour there. And then for your jawline, if you feel like you need to sharpen this up, you can definitely do contour. Some people do it here because they want to like kind of reduce the width here. But if you want to kind of like make it pop and be a bit more like kind of how mine is, you would put it more underneath to create the shadow. So it just depends on your face and what you've needed. And then for the nose is a really personal thing. It just depends on what kind of nose you have as well. We all have different noses. I have a very, very skinny nose, too skinny. So there's no way that I would ever contour along my nose here. But I do have quite a large tip of my nose, which I don't love at all. So you can put it here and kind of along here, to help kind of make the tip look a little bit more tighter and smaller. Let me do the other side as well. Okay. Now you could use your fingers, you could use a fluffy brush like this, a denser packed stippling brush. Just blend it out really, really, really well. You could kind of, and you go up and down like this. You want the intensity to be a little bit stronger here, and then as it comes into the front of the face, definitely blending and shearing out. You need to consider when people see you from all angles. So blending up into the hairline for the forehead. And you can just use your fingers if it's dried down a bit too much. I put a bit of powder on my skin before filming because always looks so shiny in these lights. And then don't forget your nose. For the nose, you might want to use a smaller brush, but I really want it to look very diffused. Really, really natural sculpting is what we're going for today. Now, if you ever felt like you did too much in some areas, you can actually just bounce over the areas with your concealer brush, or preferably a bigger brush, your foundation brush. I use my fingers though to apply my base, and you can just kind of blur it back a little bit and knock it back with what's left on your brush or your beauty blender as well. So that's adding some contour to the face. It has helped sculpt my cheekbones significantly and push back my forehead just a little bit so it's not so mask-like between my face and my hair. It's kind of like diffusing those two so you don't notice the line of where my forehead starts quite as much. And I didn't contour under chin because I don't feel like I need it, but I will do some bronzer. When you're doing contour products, you can use bronzer to kind of set it and diffuse it, make it look a little bit more natural, and especially because I really protect my face from the sun so much, and my body I like to as well, but you know, not quite as on point with that. So often my face is a lot whiter than my arms or my chest, and sometimes I like to use some gradual tanning moisturizers as well to bronze up my skin, but I wouldn't do that on my face. I like to use bronzer, which is the healthy way to get a tan rather than using the sun. So you can just dust over those areas, but you don't have to be quite as precise, because it doesn't matter if the bronzer kind of goes in other areas quite as much as adding a cool toned area in the wrong kind of spot. And then I would definitely do a little bit under here. You could, you know, you can be a little bit more like free with bronzer. That's why it's something that I use every day, because, you know, I'm always in a rush, and I even put a little bit over my eyelids like that, just to knock back that brow bone a little bit. Lazy girl eyeshadow, essentially. And it just creates a uniformed kind of look on your face. So as you can see, that has really sculpted my face, and where I've had concealer around here and around here, you leave these areas, especially here and here. You want to leave essentially like the T-zone area without any of these dark products. Always blending those areas, and that's what helps. You want to have bright center of the face, and then you want to, you know, add depth and warmth to the outside of the face. I also teach the bronzer to be a little bit, think of it as like a number 3. So you have your main area here, and then you go up and then down as a number 3. So you're drawing a 3 on your face. That really helps people kind of grasp the concept and the areas, the trajectory of where we're going. But, you know, it doesn't have to be like a perfect 3, but just so you can have that in your mind to help it make sense a little bit more, it's quite helpful. Now, I find blush really helpful to also sculpt the face, make it look more put together and not just like a blanket piece of foundation. It adds color, obviously, it's blush, but you can also just kind of lift the appearance of your cheeks as well in your placement of blush. I am absolutely loving this one from Huda Beauty. This is the cheek tint, the Coral Cutie. It's very nice. And so blush, you want to put it above where we did that work. One level above, but don't go too low, and you want to go in kind of this direction as well. You never want to bring it down. So draw a little bit and a little bit, and I actually use my fingers for this one. Pat, pat, pat. That's what works for me when I'm in a rush. I like to make it easy for you guys, you know, be practical and think about what will women actually be doing day to day, doing their makeup. They don't necessarily have 500 different brushes. So where I can, I teach with my fingers. Build up slowly, maybe a little bit more just here. There we go. That just further enhances the contouring, the sculpting of the face. Now, the last trinity to sculpting and adding depth to your face is highlighter. This is not something that I use on a daily basis at all either. But if you do want to really make your cheekbone pop or the tip of your nose pop, or I really do like it in inner corner of the eyes, maybe the top of your cupid's bows. These are areas where you would add highlighter, where you want to bring things forward on the face, okay? Don't put highlighter in areas where you want to minimize, where you don't want to add texture. So be very cautious of that. I know we want to bring this part forward and these parts forward, but we wouldn't add highlighter in these areas because often people have a lot of larger pores here, and adding highlighter, a shimmery type product is only going to enhance that. So you also want to take quite a small brush. These ones are perfect. I will link a few options of these down below. A really light, fluffy brush so you don't apply too much. This palette is amazing. It has the bronzer and the highlighter in one. Love this palette from NATASHA DENONA. And a highlighter that I often use at work is the Fenty Beauty highlighter. And this is the Kilowatt highlighter. It has 2 shades in there that are really quite strong highlighters. So I'm going to show you where we put this. So on the tops of your cheekbones here, can really, wow, highlight here. Okay, and you could go across the top of your lips. You could go just under the brow bone. And that's about where I would add it. If you want to add it in the inner corner of your eyes, definitely use a smaller brush to do that. I love to add it in the inner corner of the eyes for brides because it's just very pretty and ethereal kind of looking. find. There we go. I don't put any on my nose because I feel like my nose is big and I don't want to draw attention to it. Yeah, that's just me. So again, everyone's face is different and we have different areas that we want to, you know, draw attention to and to minimize. And that's kind of what you can do a little bit with contouring and bronzer and sculpting the face. So that's kind of my routine and my philosophy on it. It's always very blended, very light layers. So if you're worried about it not looking natural, or maybe you haven't blended certain areas right, you could always grab some loose powder and your setting powder brush and kind of just dust over all the areas and kind of use it as like as a buffer and blending in all the areas. Especially if you're not sure about how it's going to look in certain angles, you could also take your iPhone and take a video and a photo of yourself like this in front of a window and just really have a look at how the makeup's looking when it gets photographed. That is always a really helpful thing to do. So I hoped you liked this makeup lesson with me today and you got a few new tips on how to naturally sculpt and add dimension to your face. I would love you to comment below what tip that you learned today that you're going to try for your makeup tomorrow at home. You know, these tips are just very easy to put into practice tomorrow. I will leave all the products down below that I've used today, as well as some other like contours, bronzers, blushes that I'm enjoying. If you do want to shop some new ones, the links will be all down below. And if you've kept watching till this far and you're not yet subscribed, I would really love to have you as part of my beauty community here on YouTube. And as always, I'm always really active on my Instagram, which you will see a little bit more of my day-to-day life here in Hong Kong where I live at the moment. So until the next one, bye for now. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. Bye.